Once more, good evening from Jerusalem. Welcome to the National Library of Israel's 6th Annual Documentary Film Festival. The event will begin just in a few seconds now. To our Zoom followers, you may open your cameras. You are most invited to. Regretfully, we cannot permit opening microphones, but if you have any questions, please type them in the chat room, and we'll do our best to answer what we can during the event. Thank you very much and enjoy. Mr. Yuval Avivi, we are ready to begin.
Thank you very much, Doron. Thank you for all the viewers that are with us, and welcome to the Docu.Text, the Documentary Film Festival of the National Library of Israel. This is the first time this festival goes international, and we are very excited. We hope you are very excited too, and that you're enjoying the program that is offered to you in this festival. It's created for you abroad. My name is Yuval Avivi. I'm a radio host at Kan. It's the National Broadcast Association, and I'm happy to be talking today with a decorated photographer, Amos Nachoum, following the screening of his film, Picture of His Life. It's an amazing film. If you haven't watched, you should. It describes an expedition to take the picture that he never succeeded in taking of a polar bear while swimming, and it's very moving because it's about photography, but not only about photography, and we will soon talk about it. Some technical messages. We are not able to let you open your microphones, regretfully, but we will be very happy if you write us questions, if you have any, in the chat, and we'll try to address it at the end of the conversation. Let me just say that this event is being recorded, and it will be uploaded to events page in the festival website, and you will be able to watch it afterwards, and if you like it, maybe recommend it to others. And I want to say hello to Amos Nachoum, the star of the Picture of His Life. Shalom, Amos.
Erev Tov, and good evening, good morning at some parts of the world, and good evening for the other parts of the world. And are we doing that in English or in Hebrew?
We're doing it in English. Yeah, we're doing it in English today. Okay. We're very happy to have you here. Let me just say it was amazing to see what you do. Your line of work is extremely fascinating, and I'm sure that everybody that watched the film is envious, but also a little bit scared. We will soon talk about it. Let me just ask, you've been a photographer for almost all your life. I want to know, why did you pursue this line of work? Why did you decide to be a photographer?
It was when I was 12 years old, when I found a camera in my father's attics, in a boydom in English, in Yiddish, or in the attics. And I started playing with it. The camera was from World War II, and I started playing with it and take pictures. And then everybody in the family started to ask me questions. Now, before that, nobody would let young people speak. That was the tradition of the old or the other generation of my father and his grandfather. Kids had no room to speak because kids don't know anything, right? We are just born and we don't have much experience. That was the attitude at the time. That's what were my feeling. But when I had the picture, then my voice was sound and I could express my feeling and my thoughts or my interest. And that is be able to express myself, to share my feeling or my desire or my attraction or what moved me. And that is how I continue throughout. I did fashion photography, I did war photography, I did journalism in Israel, and eventually none of them really pulled me, really attracted me. I did not learn much of while doing them. Yes, I made money, I was excited, I did drugs, I did women, I did war, and money. But none of them were lifelong. They were not experience of life. When I got to the water and to the wilderness, it was continuous challenge until today. and for the year after the corona, after the pandemic that we're all going through right now.
I want to ask you, you decided to go underwater. You decided to go inside the water and actually be in the most uncomfortable place for a human being to be in on Earth. And I want to ask you, there are plenty of very dangerous ways to be a wildlife photographer, and you decided to go underwater. Why is that?
In today, when I look back, I did not know why I did it at the time. But I know that today, looking back, it was a place where I found serenity, when I found peace from the horror and what I went through the war in '73. And that was my way of treating my own trauma, my own post-trauma of the war. At the time, nobody, or at least I, as far as I realized, nobody took care of us or asked me what happened to me and what we did as a unit, that we were part of the unit by Ariel Sharon and Patsy from Shaked when we went through the Chinese village or Chinese farm into crossing the canal. So the effect of it was so traumatic on me that I found a peace being in the water. And it continued for me. It was like a natural progression. I did not think about it twice. But as a result of the movie, the work that Dani, Menkin, and Yonatan, the two Israeli really bright directors and producer, helped me to be in touch with this particular moment. And eventually things opened up for me, really on the rocks of Canada Arctic, as you seen in the movie. It was very catharsis to me, the production of the movie and the moment when I encountered there on the rocks.
Let's just dwell on this for a minute. What did happen there? You said that you did some war photography, but you were not only a photographer, you were a soldier. And were you a war photographer after being a soldier, or how could you be a war photographer after suffering this trauma that you describe?
Well, it was after that I've been a soldier after the war in '74. I was in Rwanda, Uganda, and then in Mogadishu, and then in Bosnia. I did it because the need. I wanted to work and I needed to make a living, and I got called to go out to those places by invitation. It was not something that I've designed on myself, but I was invited to go there and to offer to do that. So I took my skill, I took my camera, and I went for a period of time. And I realized that's not what I want to do. It was not something that I designed to do or I dedicated on doing. It was just a chain reaction of some of reputation that I had during the time when I was in Israel during not the war itself, but before that. My service, my regular service was mostly of building the fortification along the Suez Canal, doing through the war of attrition, and of course the drive after the terrorists in Gaza. So I took picture from there, and then I got some reputation, and then other Associated Press, CNBC called me, followed me, asked me to join a particular team going photographing there, and that's how it happened.
So this seems like the complete opposite of the serenity that you describe underwater. It's going back to the trauma, going back to the same sightings that are unbearable for someone who been to the places you've been as a soldier.
Yes, it was, and then when I realized it is not something that I want to do, again, I did not do it for a long period of time. I did it for two weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month, and then I came back home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it continued back and forth. I was moving, and I did not realize that that's what I'm doing till I find more peace, and the world of filming or photographing underwater become full-fledged in my career, in my life.
So let's talk a little bit about this career, because it's a fantastic one. Before we go to the polar bear expedition, let's talk about what you did beforehand, because you took pictures of some of the most amazing creatures and some of the most frightening one. Most of us would not be able or wouldn't want to be in close proximity to sharks, giant sharks, or whales, or other creatures that can kill you. But you seem to really like it. Tell us a little bit about the wonderful creatures that you took photos of and that you actually have been in really close proximity to.
Okay, Aviv and everybody else that listening to us today, they need to understand, or I understood, that being a photographer or be a professional in any subject, you need to work on it, you need to study it, you need to search it, to research it. So as a surgeon, brain surgeon or heart surgeon, study for so many 7, 10 years or more, or a lawyer, or a banker, or a stockbroker, also a photographer. It is not a hobby, it is a profession, and especially when you're going to deal with wilderness. I came from a unit. I was in a Sayeret Shaked, or is a special unit in the military, in Israel military service, and we're doing operation online and behind the enemy line. It takes a lot of study, other training, other intelligence gathering, and others, looking at intelligence from 2 or 3 or 4 different locations in order to find what is truth. I took the same element that I study and I was as part of the soldier, I took with me into the wilderness. I become a soldier of Mother Nature. That's what is said in Hebrew, kititu harvotam leitim, or turn the weapon into plows. That's, I did not do it out of conscious. It was just natural progression in my understanding or my development as a person. Later on, I had a chance to realize that and to be able to put statement like I did now to my work to make it easy for people to understand. I did not understand it. I just followed my own, as you said in Yiddish, my guts, or my internal feeling, my intuition.
So where did it take you? Which creatures did you take photo along the years? Which of these animals did you encounter?
I've encountered perhaps most, if not all, of the ocean giant, mainly if we call them. I'm not only underwater photographer, I'm actually a photographer. I'm not expert diver, I'm not expert climber, not expert in anything. I'm driven by my visual expression of my feeling and my desire for exploration, for understanding. So in underwater, I was with the great white shark. I was with orca, or with the Leviathan Katlan, or killer whale. I was with the blue whale, which is the largest animal ever live on the planet, actually modern time dinosaur. It is a dinosaur in our planet that still exists, and we completely deny its existence or hurting it to a level that only 15,000 left on a planet compared to 300,000 of them in the earliest 20th century. I was with a humpback whale, with a right whale, with a sperm whale, with dolphins, with leopard seal in Antarctica, with tigers and snow leopard, with jaguar, with anaconda, with Nile crocodile, and the list goes on and on. Yeah, and it is a mission to understand that these animals are not dangerous enough. They are not dangerous. It is up to us to learn about their behavior and how to create harmony with them and to be able to tell the truth. Just one example, a great white don't feed only once in 3 or 4 weeks. I can swim with them in open water, no problem. No problem whatsoever. The problem is,
it seems that you lost.
Okay, so the challenge in a great white is that all of the trips that going on is by challenging and teasing and aggravating the shark with bait in the water. If I don't put any bait in the water, but go in the right time of the year where there is more shark in one location or another because of natural behavior, I will swim, no problem whatsoever, and the shark come by me, close, and I will take its picture and come back home safely. And the same thing with the Nile crocodile. It eat And yes, indeed, they take the zebra in the wilderness and also people on the surface, but not underwater.
Still,
Because
you
it had-
still you talk about it in the movie that part of doing what you do is challenging your fears and trying to defeat them, to defeat the fears, to be afraid in front of these great animals, and to conquer it.
Well, I look at it a little bit different. The point is, again, if I take my service, military service, we always afraid. Of course, we're afraid because I'm being exposed to fire, exposed to enemy, and to obstacle in the field that can happen. But the question is, what happened when you are afraid? For me, what happened since I was very young is when I'm afraid, I become more on alert. I become more open to more awareness. It is much bigger than right now. I'm looking at you or looking at the people that come, they are with us. I'm much also on alert. My hair is on alert. My ears, my eyes, my smell. And then I become more able to deal with any changes or any danger that I'm facing. I learn in the service again that retreat is not a defeat. A retreat is opportunity to gather, learn what we did, and how to go out again and to be successful and to be victorious, if you want to call it, or how to behave more at peace, more impatient, and let things develop in front of me, and then be able to act on them, like what's happened with the polar bear.
As we see in the film, your family sometimes sees it differently because I think one of your family members says on the film that you're risking your life, you're playing with you're gambling on your life, and that in some extent, the normal life that normal people lead, they have a wife and they have children and they're saying you're married to the photography. You're married to the photography, and you're gambling with your life. It seems that they look at your profession differently, your family. Let's talk. You mentioned your father a little bit, and this is some to a certain extent, this is a film about dealing with a father, with a prominent father like you had, and the ability not to disappoint him. Maybe you said he wanted you to be something else. And another quote by your sister, I think, is that that you see your father in the polar bear or in the great sharks or whales, and that's your way to try to live in peace with him. To be in peace with the animals is to be in peace with your father. Do you agree with that? talk a little bit about the polar bear, which is the main thing about in this film, your expedition. One last chance, it's described, one last chance to have the photo that you never been able to take. A polar bear inside the water while swimming, while diving with it. And why is it so important? Why can't you just say, well, this is the one I can't get? Why the polar bear? What is it that made you say, no, I must do it?
I like the Israeli drama of things. Okay, I look at it a little bit differently. As you noticed before, as you know already, that for the past 40 years, I've been photographing wild animal or the big animal, or no matter what, either considered dangerous or not. The consideration is wrong already from the beginning. But so I dispelled the myth. So I did many animals on the way, and one of them was also polar bear about 15 years ago. And in this case, there was a chain reaction of the team I worked with that was not very good. The team did not participate very professionally, and I left alone with a polar bear, and I went diving to about 70 feet or 25 meters, and the polar bear was diving after me. Something was unheard of. Still very unusual situation for several reasons. We'll talk about it maybe later if we have opportunity. So that's what remember in my mind, in my heart. I realized I can do it, but I needed to have a better circumstances that or better team to be able to do it with. And in order to prove the point that I had a point already that I did with the great white, with the orca, with the leopard seal, with the croc, or with the anaconda. Why not the polar bear? There's no reason why the polar bear will be different than other. Yes, there's a lot of noise about polar bear killing people, eating people, challenging people, but there's also other stories which does not get very high level of exposure on positive encounter with a polar bear. And because it demands a lot of different behavior on our part. For one reason, photographer usually, and wildlife photographer in particular, or photographer in general, are very aggressive. Other war photography, demonstration, and we are very aggressive. Even fashion photography, we are pushing the subject to act to the camera. I could not take it with me underwater. I could not push the animal to do what we do on the land. I had to create more harmony with nature. And then the real authentic images, authentic story came alive. Like diving with a Nile croc in the water, in the Okavanga water, which the visibility is only 5 meters. With great pride. So the same thing here with the polar bear. I realized I can do it. And then the combination to work together with Yoni and Dani, and work together with another person that I've invited to join us, Adam Ravech, one of the leading filmmakers in the world, in Hollywood. Luckily enough, in my career, I had a chance to mentor at least 2 people. One of them is Yoni, the Israeli director that did the movie, that his idea, and Adam Ravech. Both of them in the 80s and the 90s, which they just start their career, they came to me, or I was able to work with them and mentor them in their career. They came together, and all of us, that was a perfect team to create such a remarkable moment. That's why I'm here with you today.
And you're going to a place, it's not only that the polar bear is scary, the whole scene, the whole scenery is scary. It's an inhabitable place, right? You can hardly live there. It looks like a post-apocalyptic place. No trees, no nothing, and all the mosquitoes are biting you, and you tend to ask yourself. Of course, you explained it already. Why would someone do that to himself? It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of preparing, like you say, and you go through days and days on this really harsh place in order to take this millisecond of exposure, right? And in this film, I think one of the most interesting things is to see all the preparation, all this hard work, that it's not this glorious moment of photography, but the dull and hard preparation. Would you agree?
Again, I like the Israeli drama, or the Jewish drama, if you want to call it. Listen, hear me out. Somebody said that if you think adventure is dangerous, try routine, is little. For me, routine is little, honestly. Do every day from 9 to 5, go to work, come back home, have dinner, have kids, and family. I will go. I cannot hold that. And these 10 months being at home, I become so restless that it is, I cannot even describe it and how much I'm ready to go out, but I also know at the same time that I cannot deal with the virus, and I'm in an age that I'm in a risky group of people. So of course, I protect myself and the people around me, not to get affected by the virus or the pandemic. But getting out there in the wilderness, it is a continuous, as I mentioned earlier, is continuous learning, is continuous growing. No matter, even I am today 70, and I said that easily and very happily, and I still have vision and dynamic and energy to go out to do more interesting things, in my view. Whatever my legacy will be about enriching people of living in the wilderness in peace and harmony, and understanding the animal, they are not our enemies, on the contrary, if we respect them. If we use them as toys to entertain us, yes, it is a problem like we do with the great white. But if we take a passion and patience, learn how to live with the Inuit, the team, the member of the 5 member of the family of the Inuit that work with us. How culturally, Israeli, Adam Ravitch, an American Jewish, came all the way to the Arctic to work with the Inuit, and all of us because of our appreciation of the wilderness. They gave us the best they had. They dedicated these 5% to us. We ask for. I'm not talking about the work, but their knowledge, their experience. They brought me close to the polar bear. It was up to me to go down in the water to bring the picture. This is teamwork. How we live with them for 5 or 6 days and eating the food, the only we could eat there with the limitation we have. That is, for me, is the beauty of life, the experience of life, rather to go to another movie or go to a canyon or go to supermarket or, I don't know, travel on the streets, on the freeway of America or Australia and go another national park that is very well protected. Go to a place, it's not, and how we manage to live there and come back with a story. Know when to go forward and when to go backward to survive and protect ourselves. That's the beauty, that's the learning experience that I take with me and hopefully share with few people that want to join me on the next expedition.
Experience, and this is crucial because you had 2 encounters in this movie. We see 2 encounters between you and a polar bear. The first one is with a big male, and he actually attacks you, and you're not able to take the picture. And then you go on the boat again, and you're saying these exact same words, right? You're saying exact same word that you said now. I'm not upset about failing because this is not a failure. This is a learning experience. But this is what you say just seconds after you were attacked by a polar bear. And weren't you a little bit discouraged, afraid? Didn't you say maybe it's too much? You were attacked by a polar bear.
Again, from the point of view of the viewer sitting in the theater and look at it, that's how it looks. If you assume for a moment the experience of life that I had or I have till today, you look at it a little bit different. And again, so we get to the detail for a moment of how polar bear dive and how far they dive. Like, there are about maybe 20,000 polar bears today on the planet. There are only 5 people ever been with polar bear in the water. 2 of them are people which I was able to read the record. And the record said they were diving with one of them Italian, one of them Mexican, was in the late 50s and the early 60s. And they said the polar bear dive only to about 10 meters. Physiologically, and from the weight issue, polar bear are a lot of fat, not supposed to, it will be float in the water. It will be very difficult to go diving, and especially because of the fur that hold water, hold hair and water, and will be very difficult. So this is only 2 review out of 20,000 polar bears. They did not read what I read. Okay, so I already knew that polar bear can dive to 30 feet, first time when I went down, but I took a measurement because my experience with other wildlife was as such that there is so much knowledge to this moment. Let's take a margin of safety, another 10 meters, another 10 feet, another 3 meters, another 5 meters. So I went down to 50 feet. But in this case, the polar bear continued on after me. I was able to dive deeper and away from him. If you notice in the movie, there was a process in the beginning, and Adam mentioned it, that in order for me to be able to encounter or to be safe in the water, I had to do one very important thing. In anywhere, any time in the water, and any diving level, it is buoyancy control. And to have buoyancy control, I needed to have the right amount of weight around my waist because we wear a dry suit. Technically, it's complicated. It's not difficult, it's just complicated process. We did not have enough weight coming on board, bringing everything up. So Adam had enough, I did not have enough. So what I did, I took the different nuts and bolts that were on the boat and put in my pockets. I had to do it 6 times till eventually I create perfect buoyancy control that I know that when I exhale, I'll go down. When I inhale, I'll float up, just under my control, nothing else. When the polar bear, the aggressive one, the first one that we saw, went after me, I just inhaled naturally. And I knew I can go down, and I kicked 1 or 2 times, and he came down, and he came back up because he was just curious. Because I already had the experience of running for me for 70 feet. So why now I'll be afraid of it? I was not afraid. I was prepared for the moment that that could happen. And naturally, as you saw in the movie, I was successful. But the second time, the aim was from the beginning and cub, not for a single one, because picture of a single one already taken. As a wildlife photographer, to take a picture of one animal is not really very interesting. There are many more pictures of lions and elephant and shark that are probably in the water or in the wilderness. But have a picture of a family or behavior of feeding, of nature, then the behavior of the animal much more interesting, much more captivating. That's my work. I'm a professional visual storyteller. I'm not just a photographer. And that is the cub. We did not expect to see 2 cubs. That is very rare. For all the audience to know, polar bear, about 70% of the time, they'll bring only 1 cub. 70%. The rest 20%, 2 cubs. The rest cubs she'll bring in. So for her to have 2 cubs, it was in 5 days that we were there, we were given a present by Mother Nature.
So it's not a spoiler for, in the movie that to say that you succeeded and you took this picture. Can you tell me what did you feel in that moment where this lifelong ambition is fulfilled, when the whole expedition comes to this success, when you press that button on your camera underwater and you know that you got it? What did you feel?
Well, honestly, I was a photographer at the moment. I did not feel, I only wanted to do what I thought I can do, and I did it. The moment after, when I come on, or when we got to the surface, it was an elation. I hugged Adam because it was really a consummated experience in life. And when I got on the boat, as you noticed, as you remember in the movie, I gave Patrick a kiss, and I gave Joe Kalujak, the family leader, that he gave me the best present of my life, because he led us safely into this environment, into this place. It was elation. It was really great satisfaction, and to know that the effort I've made all through the year, all the learning and the study that I've made, and the connection I made with Adam and Yoni came to fruition in bigger way that I ever can expect it. And my tremendous respect to Adam and Yoni and Dani for them trusting me and follow my mission, follow my dream, and create and make the mission successful.
And it's not an easy task for a man in any age, but do you feel in somewhat way that doing what you do is also defeating age, saying you can do anything in any age, you stay alive by doing the things that you do?
I don't pay attention so much to my age. I pay attention to what I can do and what I cannot do, and I will work according to the power or to a physical and mental ability I have, to survive for as long as I can, enjoy my sister, enjoy my family, enjoy the kids and the grandkids, and eat well and enjoy them. They're coming back to Israel because I just bought a home in Israel, and I want to create my next base in Yafo, in Israel.
Fantastic. Let me just end this pleasant conversation soon, but I want to ask you, I was under the impression that once you take a picture of this polar bear underwater, that's the final one. That's it for you. But apparently it's not so. You've done some expedition afterwards, and you also have big plans for the future. Can you tell us a little bit about the things that you did since filming this documentary, and what you plan to do in the future?
Yeah, what we did after the encounter with the movie production, I did several trips to go after the striped marlin off the coast of Mexico on the Pacific Ocean when they're feeding on the mackerel. I did another project in Tonga after the humpback whale. We did a project also in Mexico, but on the other side of Baja in the Sea of Cortez for the mobula rays and orcas. We did more trip on a polar bear in Svalbard on the ice. So there are sperm whale and back into Botswana with the crocodile. I did another trip for the jaguar and for the anaconda in Brazil. However, we are encountering now the pandemic, and the pandemic creates a situation which is very interesting, at least, well, everywhere in the world, because we are not as active on the wilderness as we were before. So there is a lot of quietness happen, and wildlife come back behaving or acting more naturally in their own wilderness, as before they were running away from us because we are invading into their territory. Now, since we retreat and stay home, they are coming back they feel more free and more easy to be in their own place and what they naturally been. In the water in particular, there is a particular event that because of the tremendous reduction of shipping, and ships are not moving as many as and oil and all around the shipping lane in the world, they are coming back to their normal passageway or the way which they used to migrate before. So the most affected animal in the world in the water is the blue whale. It is the modern time dinosaur, as I mentioned earlier. So I'm looking at the next 18 months as the corona reduction, and we have better vaccine for the corona, that we safely can travel again, to call it the 18 months of the blue whale. And we have a research group of photographers and researchers go out for 4 most promising destinations around the planet, and to bring more up-to-date information and actual knowledge about the blue whale migration and blue whale movement, and to highlight the present and what we can do in order to protect them for future generation. So that will be a national focus or international focus, together with an organization which is the leading research organization with Mission Blue, together with her famous and most decorated researcher, Dr. Sylvia Earle, which only 2 days ago, I had a conversation with her, a Zoom conversation with her online about the same subject. And we're going together into looking for the blue whale around the world, bring the information about them. And that will be the focus because of the changing in the condition in the wilderness. In addition to that, I'm going to do 2 private research trips before I take people with me. Again, dedicated mostly at this time of my life for the threatened and endangered animal. And 2 of the most threatened and endangered, not just in the water, this will be on land. One of them, the Siberian tiger, and the other one, even lesser known, it is cloud leopard. These 2 are on my target to take my skill, my team of people, researcher, and local people around the world that support me or that respect me and I respect them, working together to bring this element to life for people to see how important and what we can do in order to protect them for future.
Wonderful and important, and we all hope that you succeed, and maybe we wish that you will have a documentary crew with you, that we will be able to participate by proxy maybe. Amos Nachoum, thank you very much for being with us tonight in Israel in the morning for you. We really appreciate this conversation. Thank you again for this movie and for the picture of your life, the picture of his life, and thank you for this wonderful, wonderful photos. I'd like to say thank you also to all our viewers, and to mention that the Docu.Text Festival is taking place until 25th of November, and there are many films and events that you may find in our website, and we hope you continue to enjoy the content that we've created for you.
Can I say one thing, Aviv? I would like to thank you in the library, but also to Yonatan, Dani Menkin, Adam Ravitch, and the Inuit family of Joe Kalujak that worked together and helped me to bring this movie alive, and for their talent and skill, not just photographing the polar bear, but what they did, a picture of my life in total. And to my 2 sisters that supported me, and of course, to my girlfriend that she's not home right now, Blaze, she's at work, but all together, this group of people that were immensely important allow me to continue to do what I wanted to do rather than what expected of me. And for all of you, the people that we've been part of our meeting today.
Thank you very much. We hope you continue to do what you're meant to do. Thank you very much again, Amos Nachoum. Thank you for all the viewers, and thank you for the National Library of Israel for having us tonight. Goodbye.